Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Mayday Network. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Roginski, and we wanted to come and talk to you for a little bit today about a guy named Mike Davis, who's making news again. He has a guy named Mike Davis, who's making news again. Wow. He has a guy named Mike Davis, who's making news again. Wow. He has a guy named Mike Davis who's making. So I just muted Julie's mic, and I think that stopped it. So Julie, if you want to X out of all your stuff and then come back, yeah, I think it's you because now it's not doing it. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do while Julie goes and restarts her browser, hopefully everyone can hear me right now. I made a supercut of some Mike Davis things. So Mike Davis is a conservative attorney. He used to work for Newt Gingrich. He clerked for Neil Gorsuch, and was to be Donald Trump's pick to be attorney general for whatever reason. My guess is that he's so extreme that they didn't think that he would make it through, which is really saying something given the cabinet of clowns that are in there right now. So what I'm going to do right now, before we get into the details, I'm going to play this supercut. I put some clips of Mike Davis together from some podcasts and other places. I want you to see him. I want you to see how he interacts with Benny Johnson, who apparently is his favorite podcaster, Steve Bannon, and others.
I've never been called sweet, and you call me Sweet Ginger. So I think I meant then. But during my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting attorney general, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. Ready to go, and they're growing. List number one, we're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch of the deep state. Number two, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden, except for the 5-year-old granddaughter who they refused to acknowledge. 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the DC gulag and Gitmo. And list number 5, I'm going to recommend a lot of pardons. Every January 6th defendant is going to get a pardon, especially my hero, Horn Man.
You have a MAGA lawyer that likes to come on your podcast, Mike Davis. Here's what he suggested with the top priorities for Trump's attorney general. 1, fire the deep state executive branch. 2, indict the whole Biden family. 3, deport 10 million people, kids in cages. That will be glorious. 4, detain people at Gitmo. 5, pardon every January 6th defendant. What do you think about that 5-step plan?
I think it's fantastic.
All 5?
All 5. We're going to start the largest deportation program in history. All 10 million must leave.
You're saying that it's about people's gut feelings, it's about people's lived experiences. You think somebody that's struggling right now in the economy cares about firing random deep state people, indicting Joe Biden's
there's many things
brother, deporting people?
Did I say that's all they're going to do? That's Mike Davis will probably be the attorney general.
If the 2020 election was so clean, why are they so scared to show their work? Clearly rigged and stolen. They used COVID as an excuse to illegally, unconstitutionally mass mail ballots.
So I would say this to John Bolton: if these allegations are true, which they appear to be true, then he's going to go to prison probably for the rest of his life. I'm going to make damn sure that these lawfare Democrats go to prison during the 4 years of President Trump's second term, because these are Republican tactics by these lawfare Democrats. They took our country to the brink. As I promised and as I will deliver, justice is definitely coming. So lawyer up, motherfuckers, because justice is definitely coming.
These are the fun little videos that they have.
Go, Jim! Let him burn! So let me just make this very clear to someone like Gavin Newsom. Hey, Gavin, if you do this, you're going to become a prison bitch, right? So, and to J.B. Pritzker, or whatever his name is in Illinois, the governor of Illinois, just like we're going to put Big Tish's fat ass in prison, If you do this, we'll put your fat ass in prison.
To Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General, I dare you. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that.
It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree, and we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
I was right. I would say to Big Tish, you better lawyer up, because justice is definitely coming, as I have predicted for 3 years on your show, Ben, and every other show that I went on. And I'm going to make damn sure justice is coming. Mar-a-Lago, which is 20 acres of the most prime real estate on the planet. Tish James said that it was only worth $18 million, so Trump overvalued his property to get favorable loans. It's just utter nonsense. A tennis court in Mar-a-Lago is worth more than $18 million.
Well, I want to say this, Michelle, before everybody kind of we get into this, and I see people here saying, you know, this, you're shocked or surprised in the chat, and I want to be very clear that this guy is not a crazy guy on the outskirts of the mainstream Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
He was called the tip of the spear by former Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, who was a very mainstream Republican,
Mm-hmm.
confirmation of the Justice Kavanaugh hearings.
Yep.
Justice Gorsuch privately called him the general, quote unquote, of his confirmation process, while Kavanaugh referred to him as a warrior on his behalf. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader at the time, singled him out for special praise after the vote to confirm Kavanaugh after those crazy hearings. This is somebody who is deeply embedded in the mainstream of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And so much so that he had a profile in the New York Times on him. So again, this is not some crazy wackadoodle.
Yeah.
And, you know, he runs something called the Article 3 Project, which promises to take the brass gloves off and put the brass knuckles on of confirming what he calls constitutionalist judges. Translation, this is the man who is responsible for lawfare.
Mm-hmm.
This is the man who is going to be responsible for the show trials that are coming, because I want to be very clear. And I know we always say that people suffer from a lack of imagination. And before you and I came on air, we were talking about how it's just at MSNBC, which is why I'm all made up, talking about, and I was asked by Chris Jansing, who's the anchor there, who actually I love, and I think she's very smart, but she asked me who I thought the next Republican nominee was going to be, because Trump said, could be Vance, could be Rubio. He doesn't know if he's going to run again or not. And I said, it's not going to be Rubio or Vance. It's not going to be anybody, if he is still alive, other than Donald Trump. And the reaction was kind of like a, whoa, what are you talking about? The Constitution will hold. Okay, so the Constitution is not going to hold. And the same thing here. I say this to say this. Take it from somebody who grew up in this country, but who spent the formative years of her life in a very different country. The show trials are coming. The only reason we do not have them yet is because they have not yet appointed enough people at the district level in the federal courts and in the appellate division to have them. But very soon they will, because they have 4 years to do it, on top of the 4 years they already had to do it last time. And if you think Aileen Cannon was an outlier, just the tip of the spear on that is Mike Davis. That man.
Yep.
Who wants to put the entire Biden family on trial. Not an exaggeration. He's not kidding.
No.
Is the tip of the spear in the show trials. And by the way, those indictments are coming. And when those indictments are upheld by a district court, because they're going to appoint all these district judges, and it will go to and of course, those district judges have a lot of power as to how to interpret motions and anything else. So after they basically allow these trials to be very skewed in order to condemn, I don't know how else to say it, in order to find people guilty because of the evidence they will allow in and the evidence they will not allow in.
Mm-hmm.
It will go to the appellate division, where it will also be upheld by Trump's judges.
Yep.
Then eventually it might go to the Supreme Court, and we all know how that's going to go because
Mm-hmm.
they already have that totally rigged.
Yep.
And that guy, Mike Davis, is responsible for Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
He's responsible for Gorsuch.
Yeah, he was clerk. He clerked for Gorsuch. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Of course, they already have Alito and Thomas. You have the feckless Chief Justice John Roberts, and you have Amy Coney Barrett, who pretends that she actually gives thought to stuff, but still votes to them 90% of the time, if not
Mhm.
more.
Yep.
So that's what we're in for, folks. And I just want to be very clear about this.
Yep. And I do just want to be petty for a second too. This man is 47 years old. Can we just talk about this? He's 47, just like Brendan Carr, just like whatever his other face is, OMB guy, Russ Vogt. They're all in their 40s. First of all, that scares me because it means they're probably going to be around a long time. But also look at them. They're like, this is what hatred does to you. It ages you very quickly. Everything Rosie said, what? I know. Every time I see these people's ages, it's like my brain explodes. But that's not as important. But I'm going to throw this up here. Mike Davis, who is he, who he is and why he matters. So what to know right now. Some of this is redundant to what Julie just said, but he's founder and president of Article 3 Project, a pro-Trump legal group dedicated to weaponizing the courts and defending constitutionalist judges. He runs 2 other Trump-aligned advocacy groups, Internet Accountability Project, because he's a big anti-tech guy, and Unsilenced Majority Anti-Cancel Culture, one of the loudest voices pushing Trump's retribution agenda, calling to drag Democrats' bodies through the streets. I have that tweet here. We'll show that in a second. And throw journalists in the gulag, which he talked about in the clip that we showed. Frequently mentioned as possible attorney general in second Trump term, that didn't pan out. Known for unhinged, violent, authoritarian rhetoric, seen as a legal architect of Trump's revenge plan. He is from Des Moines, Iowa. He went to Catholic school. Parents worked in Des Moines, Iowa school district. He went to the University of Iowa, has a BA in political science, got his JD in 2004. He, as a student, interned for Newt Gingrich during the Clinton impeachment, which also tells who else did that. Brett Kavanaugh. He was not intern, but he worked on the impeachment group. Founded a pro-Bush student group during 2000. I mean, we can come back to this in a second, but this just to give you a map of just kind of how he got into this.
Yep.
And to show you kind of where he is now and where his thinking is now. This is just, I think, the day after the election or a couple days after the election, November 6th, day after the election. He says on Twitter, "Here's my current mood. I want to drag their dead political bodies through the streets, burn them, and throw them off the wall. Legally, politically, and financially, of course."
No.
Not what he means. And we all know that. I mean,
It's not what it means. It's called, what he's talking about is
it's a wink, wink.
Yeah, wink, wink. Again, this is an educated guy. He's talking about drawing and quartering his opponents, which is, in the Middle Ages, much like he talked about the Reign of Terror, which was the French insanity drive to guillotine people at the turn of, or the very end of the 18th century. So just to be clear, that's what we're talking about here.
Yep.
And, we're just dealing with really emotionally unhinged people who are being given permission to lean into their state of nature. First of all, I don't know who tried to kill Trump, because the 2 people who ostensibly tried to kill Trump were both
right.
Republicans.
And if you're listening, this another tweet that he wrote on November 6th. F unity, we have the votes, and they tried to kill Trump. I don't really, again,
know who tried to kill Trump, but it certainly wasn't anybody in the Democratic Party, from what I can see.
And then he said this just the other day. Hakeem Jeffries tweeted, "Disgraceful New York Republicans." This is in response to the Young Republicans' very racist, anti-Semitic chat thread that they were on. They got caught. The scoop from Politico. Hakeem Jeffries was saying that Mike Lawler and Lee Stefanik have been palling around with these racist, anti-Semitic, bigoted young Republicans for years, blah, blah, blah. Mike Davis quote tweets Hakeem Jeffries, says, "George Soros's house slave." And Izzy Gordon had tweeted the both of the tweets together and said, on the very day that the Supreme Court is poised to gut the Voting Rights Act, Mike Davis, a former clerk to Justice Neil Gorsuch and a close ally of Trump's top civil rights lawyer, Harmeet Dillon, calls the first Black House minority leader a house slave. And again, like, this barely makes the news. This was a few weeks ago at this point. And and here you are on MSNBC today, Julie. Like, Chris Hansen, God bless, but like asking you who's going to be the next, what planet? Like, guys, there's no plan on their side to relinquish power and have some sort of like peaceful transfer of anything.
Here's the problem. I think the problem is that all the people and I don't know about Chris personally, because she actually is very, very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, what I've noticed, and having also worked in mainstream cable news, is that you are produced, which means that you are given information, right? That basically gives you all the background on all the segments that you're going to do, which means that you're not literally sitting there the way you and I are, Michelle, in the depths of this hell,
right?
Reading this nonsense,
right?
Holy shit,
right?
And I think that's the problem that you see at MSNBC and CNN and all of these other, and you know, I'm going to put Fox to the side, but they produce things exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see this stuff.
I don't even think they know, honestly.
I don't think they understand that this is happening.
No.
And what I don't understand is they play a clip of Trump saying, "I haven't made up my mind yet whether I'm going to run again or not. But ha ha ha, Marco Rubio standing behind me on this plane. He might be a good candidate, but so could J.D. Vance." On the other hand, and the reporter says, "Well, Mr. President, are you ruling out running for a third term?" And he says, "You tell me."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is supposed to mean other than, no, I'm not ruling it out.
Right. He always says what he's going to do.
He always says what he's going to do. And Rob Blah, you're right. If he is alive, he will run. And I keep going back to that Hans Christian Andersen story about the Emperor has no clothes, whatever it's actually called, you know, the Emperor's New Clothes, I think is what it's actually called.
Mm-hmm.
And how all the courtiers knew that the Emperor had no clothes. But they didn't say anything because they didn't want to fall out of favor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read about kings who went crazy towards the end of their lives, and I'll use Henry VIII as a probably the best example. By the end of his life, he was stark raving mad. And yet all the courtiers around him, including the ones who were put to death 5 minutes after they said yes to him, because he was just on a roll to just kill as many people as possible. He was completely just blood crazy by the end.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything because the king was the only dispenser of favor.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we have a constitution set up to prevent that from happening. And yet, the founding fathers never envisioned a guy like this, ever.
No, and I mean, I guess we could say that they had a lack of imagination. I think that they thought that the center would hold, the institutions would hold, and we fought a war over this. We had a civil war over you know, very, you know, the original sin of this country, which is slavery, and you know, two completely differing ideas of how to run a country: one on slave labor, one not on slave labor. And here we are 100 however many years later. And, you know, we have a mad king at the forefront and this underlying belly of powder keg of violence that I think is coming as well. And, you know, that I certainly am not, you know, think that it scares the shit out of me, honestly, Julie. Like, I mean, especially living in New York right now, where Tom Homan said on TV today, in front of a gaggle out in front of the White House, that he's going to unleash like hell or whatever on New York City, which you mentioned this morning on our morning show, when you were coming in from MetLife Stadium yesterday, you saw a bunch of military vehicles crossing state lines into New York City.
Yes, and for people who are not from around here, MetLife Stadium is where the New York Giants play, the New Jersey Giants, because it's in New Jersey. But but it's relevant that it is in New Jersey. The stadium, the stadium is located in New Jersey, and the bridge that connects New York and New Jersey is the George Washington Bridge, which is one of the routes you can take to go back into the city. We were driving. It was about 10:30 in the morning. We had gone to Giants Stadium, not because there was a game, but because my husband and my son were running a 5K. We were driving down 95. For people who don't know the East Coast of the United States, I-95 connects the entire East Coast all the way from Maine down to Florida. It's the interstate that runs along the East Coast. The George Washington Bridge is the busiest bridge in the world. It is also on Route 95. And as we're going on I-95, there was no traffic because it was a Sunday morning, surprisingly. As we were going in the local lanes and the express lanes alongside us, were a bunch of, I don't even know how many, 8, 9, 10, I didn't count, Humvees and other military vehicles that were going from New Jersey into New York. Now, could they have continued up 95 into Connecticut and then into New England? Possibly, but I don't think so. And you had this very young military guy, I don't know if it's the National Guard or who he was, leaning out the window, taking pictures of what.
You got a great view coming over the GWB.
Great view of the New York skyline. These were not people who obviously were from around here, because you don't take pictures of the New York skyline for obvious reasons if you live around here, or even if you live in New Jersey.
I mean, I still do. It's still, but in a much less obvious way.
Yeah, you would not be leaning out of while you're at work out of a military.
Right.
You know, is it a coincidence that this weekend was the weekend that early voting began for the New York mayor's race?
This is,
where they went, I don't know. I think we would have heard if they were suddenly marching up and down the streets of New York City, intimidating people in advance of the vote.
But right on the outskirts, like, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of places to be in New York that people won't see you. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're getting ready to be in position.
But it was something was off. I mean, that's the thing. I think that's the thesis here. Like, this is not normal. Like, I grew up right near a military base, so it was very normal. I mean, it was always still like a little bit weird to see like a bunch of Humvees like on the street, but it was normal because Fort Drum was like over there. You know, like, they were doing exercises. You could hear the big booms, like whatever. I've lived here for over 20 years. I know you have lived here even longer than that. This is just not something you see. Like, I've never seen this.
Yeah, I don't know who they were or where they were going or what they were doing. But I do know, well, I know who they were. They're obviously United States military of some sort. I don't know where they were going or what they were doing. But I will tell you, just the very notion of seeing them. And, you know, what's interesting is if people watched the morning show this morning, they saw my little French cousin who's been staying with us. So he was in the car with us. And I was like, holy shit, what's the United States military doing on the approach to New York City? And he was like, is this not normal? I go, no, this is absolutely not normal. Absolutely not normal. And to have this happen 24 hours after early in-person voting began. To have the Republicans salivating at the prospect of a Muslim socialist Democrat being elected mayor of New York.
Oh yeah.
Is, you know, again, he's not my or Michelle's cup of tea.
No.
I decided, Michelle, what I'm going to do with this election. I'm writing in the police commissioner. But, you know, the reality is that it is not normal to have somebody order the United States military anywhere near New York City in this kind of environment. And you have guys like Mike Davis. They're saying Trump is saying and Bannon is saying that they are going to potentially run for a third term. I don't know. Maybe Bannon's saying he is. Trump is kind of playing coy. Maybe it's just to acclimate us. It's just they always do. It is
it's the grooming, right? It's the grooming. It's
exactly what I wrote last week. They are grooming us. They are grooming us like a sexual predator. Hey, little girl, why don't you come to my nice fancy house for the weekend? Now
Right.
that you've been here, hey, little girl, why don't you put on your bathing suit and get in the hot tub with me?
Ew.
Hey, little girl, why don't we sleep in the same bed?
Right.
Slowly but surely, you normalize this stuff. That's
until nobody pays attention, and that's
what they're doing. They are grooming people.
Right. And I have a little bit of the clip here with Donald Trump talking to the gaggle on Air Force One about this vice president thing, because I think it needs to be seen.
Theory on how
Oops.
you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsel to your legal position? I
No,
guess?
you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I think it's
You're ruling that out.
too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
He's like, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that. Just like I'm allowed to demolish the East Wing of the White House. I'm allowed to do all of these things. No one's going to stop me.
I think you said Sammy Sage said this, Michelle. So I don't want to steal her line, but I think it's a great line. If she's the one, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. She's the one who said it. He is not building a house. He's building a palace. And if you noticed, when he got to Japan today, the first thing he wanted to do was meet the emperor. Well, the emperor, I mean, okay, the emperor is just as influential as the King of England is in Britain, right? Like, great. After World War II, the United States actually ensured, not that Donald Trump would know this, that the emperor would not have the kind of power that he had before. But the Glorious Revolution in the 17th century in England established that also for their king. But the fact of the matter is that he does not know that. And he is impressed by royalty. He is impressed by the opulence, and he's impressed by the showmanship. And he went to Windsor Castle, and he said that he wants the same kind of, I've been to that. I don't know. Have you been to Windsor ever, Michelle?
I've never been to England.
Right. So if you go to, oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Not road trip, but
boat trip.
Yeah, boat trip. So if you go to Windsor, I don't know if people in the chat have ever been to Windsor, but if you go to Windsor, that Great Hall, it is, a humongous, obviously huge table that spans the entire length of the room, and it's huge. It's probably the biggest thing I've ever seen, and that's where they held the thing for Trump. And I'm sure he looked around and he said, wow, I need this. I need this. But what he forgot is he's just a renter. He's living rent-free, right? in all of our heads, but also in the house. He is a renter. He is a temporary occupant of what is otherwise known as the people's house.
Right.
And if there needed to be a brand new ballroom in the White House, as I've heard that there probably should be of some sort because there are not enough, there's not enough space to host people. Fine. If you believe that, then there are protocols that you go through.
Right.
And you don't just decide one day to do this, because who is to say that he's not, as you, Michelle, have always said, the West Wing is next. He's going to tear that down.
Listen, I think he's going to go for the whole thing. I think that he's going to go for the whole thing because this is what he wants to leave his mark on every. First of all, it's already being reported that he's going to name the ballroom after himself. It's going to say Trump in big ass letters on the ballroom. That's no surprise. I think they'll go for the West Wing next. Or the middle part. I don't know what you call that. The main part with the columns and all the rooms and stuff. I think he's going to go for all of it. And to quote Sammy Sage, this is exactly what she wrote yesterday. Wake up. Donald Antoinette isn't building a ballroom. He's building Trump Palace. Everything we know about Donald Trump points in this direction. Like, believe your instincts here. Believe your gut. It's the same thing where I don't think that they're ever going to reopen the government because they're being able to do everything. And we were talked about this morning briefly, that he will rule by executive order, like a monarch, like a dictator. And again, people like Mike Davis, who have been part of the furniture of the Republican Party infrastructure, right, since Gingrich. He was an attorney for Chuck Grassley, then clerked for Neil Gorsuch, was part of, and let me throw this up here, the whole stuff with Kavanaugh. Let me throw this up. Early career, we already went through that. Senate Judiciary Committee from 2017 to 2019. Chief counsel for nominations to Senator Chuck Grassley. Oversaw 278 judicial confirmations, including Brett Kavanaugh's contentious hearing, and helped suppress testimony and documents related to Kavanaugh's past, and tried to oust Christine Blasey Ford entirely. Surprise,
Yeah.
surprise. So he claims credit for confirming 3 Supreme Court justices, 230 plus federal judges, describes Democrats as Marxists who hate America. That's exactly what's been all over, the talking points for the last several weeks, including Andy Biggs and Dave McCormick, both saying in the last 48 hours that Democrats are domestic terrorists. He's been accused of funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars from his nonprofits to himself or his businesses. And then into the controversies here, self-proclaimed election denier. I mean, you heard in that clip, he is part of the whole Stop the Steal movement with Steve Bannon. Extremely racist, extremely misogynistic, calling everybody fat ass and this, that. Always has something to say about a Black person, especially if it's a woman. Has threatened to target Supreme Court justices who don't rule in line with MAGA. Labeled by Rolling Stone as one of the 12 worst people in Trump's orbit, and is still actively pushing Trump's revenge narrative on podcasts every single day. And again, this is what he wrote just in the last couple of days about the SNAP benefits going away. He said, "We should only help people who can't help themselves. It's outrageous. 40 million people get food stamps. Get off your fat ghetto asses. Get a job. Stop reproducing. Change your shitty culture. Stop giving food stamps to immigrants. We don't want you here if you won't work." So
right. Can I just throw some statistics up here? Because I actually
please do
have a Substack on this tomorrow coming out, because I spent all morning working on this. So first of all, just to give you some statistics, because this is not even a racist dog whistle. It's just racism pure and simple.
There's no whistling. It's just
ghetto asses. Okay.
Yeah.
Contrary to the racist dog whistles emanating from people like Mike Davis, the vast plurality of SNAP recipients are white.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they are children or disabled, which is the vast majority of them, they are employed. So they're not sitting on their fat ghetto asses. They're white and they're working. The problem, as we talked about this morning, is that they work at places like Walmart or McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
Or Amazon, which pay them so little that they are forced to ask for food assistance from the governor. This isn't a private charity system in the world that's capable of backfilling a national benefits program that reaches 1 in 8 Americans.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. It doesn't exist. And the very fact that he is allowing people to be painted as what Ronald Reagan did all those many years ago. Remember the Black welfare queen nonsense?
Oh, I do. Because we made an ad at Seneca Project called Welfare Queen about Elon Musk being the new version of the welfare queen, using, Ronald Reagan's racist rhetoric against him. And I just need to say this for a second too, because we have friends, and I don't mean any disrespect to them, who used to be, members of the Republican Party and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, this has been brewing for decades. Ronald Reagan was a racist. He was a racist. Like, this is all, but it's just been getting more out in the open. It's just been getting worse and not to mention war against working people, war against working families, trickle down economics, horseshit, dismantling of unions and workplace protections. I mean, this is kind of where it started in the modern era, was with him. And I'm like, if I have to hear one more time about like, oh, Reagan, spare me. I'm sorry, but spare me.
Reagan sucked. And I will also go so far as to say, listen, I love the Bulwark. I love those guys. They
Yes,
do
me too.
really, really good job. But I will say this, my Bulwark friends, where the hell were you during the Reagan years and the Bush years? I mean, George Bush in 2004 ran his entire campaign on not just accusing Democrats of effectively being feckless, you know, national security chickens, even though, give me a break, about the stupid Iraq war, which in retrospect, all of them agree was a mistake. But back then it was like a crime to even say so. That's one. Swift boating John Kerry, who was a war hero. I mean, the guy practically had to show the shrapnel on his body to prove that he wasn't some, you know, coward, even though George Bush didn't spend one day.
Purple Heart. Like, I mean, like, it's this is what they do. Like, it's just they rah about the military, but then the second their opponent is a member, they cut them down immediately.
So that's one. But two, the part that really pisses me off is that the other thing that George Bush did in 2004 was, if you recall, Michelle, ran a campaign entirely trying to scare people about marriage equality.
Oh, yeah.
In Ohio, because Ken Mellman, his now gay back then too, but not out in the open, RNC chair, ran an entire campaign trying to frighten people into the fact that gay people were getting married.
Yeah.
And guess who was there with him all the way?
I know.
All those guys.
I know.
All of a sudden, Trump comes along. Heavens to Betsy, how could Trump?
That was the line. That was the line.
Like heavens to Betsy, how could Trump have shown up here?
I know. And he exploited all of that shit that had been built over decades.
Yes.
And then everyone's like, oh, I'm so shocked. I'm like, how are you shocked?
And the same people now who are going to be shocked in a decade or two when another even crazier guy shows up, who are exploiting trans people right now. Oh my God, they're using our bathrooms. What does that mean? Oh my God, they're going to rape and kill us.
Right.
Stuff they said about gay people 20 years ago are going to be shocked. How can this be? You're doing it. You're doing it.
Yep. And I say I am a subscriber.
I love those guys. I love
the Bulwark. I watch them every day.
They're good guys, but let's not be shocked as to how this all happened.
Yes.
And let's not glorify St. Ronald Reagan.
No.
Because he started this.
Yes.
He started this.
And the religious right and like getting in. I mean, he's the one who was promising, you know, Phyllis Schlafly roles in his administration just so he can get her list. And, you know, because she was putting together all of the religious groups to come out against the ERA. I mean, like, and completely topple women's rights in this country, taking us back again after Roe. I mean, it's just, there's so much. The guy, it's, and the Lee Atwater, and like, it's just, I can't.
Let me tell you something. I'll remember exactly what this was. In December of 2011, I was at a friend's birthday party in Chelsea, in New York. And who's sitting at the chair next to me but Ken Mellman?
Oh.
And my friend is gay, and it was a big crew of gay guys and me and maybe one or two other people who were not, but most of it was a crew of gay guys. And I started talking to Ken Mellman, and he starts lecturing me on gay rights. And this was 2011, so this was less than a decade out from when this motherfucker exploited gay people in order to win George Bush another term.
I can't.
And I just remember, and actually the reason I know it was December of 2011 is because I was pregnant. So I know I wasn't drinking, and I know I was sober enough to remember every single thing that he said to me.
Yep. It's
yeah.
Sorry. You know, and I remember Neil Gorsuch also, when he was going through his confirmation or about to, he had an old friend from, I think it was college or something, who was also, I was a member of this private club for a while for like actors and stuff in New York called the Players Club in Gramercy Park.
The Players Club, sure.
Yeah. And I was a member for a short period of time. And there was a guy who, because there was like a lot of like older, like kind of moneyed people that had been there for a long time, and he was gay, and he was like, but no, he's like, Neil Gorsuch, like, no, like I know him and he's a nice guy, and he's like blah 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 blah. He'll never do this. He'll never vote against that. He'll never. And I'm like, you think you know these people? Guess again, because the Supreme Court, I think November 7th, right, or is deciding to or is going to hear a case to overturn marriage equality. And they are absolutely going to do it. They're absolutely going to do it. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm like 99% sure, like feeling pretty confident that they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, but this is what happens, right? This is where even Meghan McCain, right, will go on and on and on and on and on about blah, 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 blah. And then the second that it affects her, she's like, oh no. But oh no, it's the same thing that's happening with many groups of people in this country who didn't think that any of this was going to come to their doorstep until it did. And now it's too late. And I'm like, this is why you have to stay vigilant. This is why we want to bring you stories like, who is Mike Davis? Mike Davis needs to be a household name, just like Stephen Miller's is. Everybody needs to know who this guy is. He's not just an internet troll. He's a seasoned attorney.
Yeah. And if you want to hear some scary stuff as to what's happening to mainstream media right now, Scott Jennings is about to be poached by Barry Weiss to go to CBS.
Get out. Get out. Are you serious?
So when they merge with CNN in a couple, we'll be in both places. My point is this. Mainstream media is platforming liars. They're platforming bigots.
Mm-hmm.
They're platforming whiners.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so, and at the same time, the ones who are on our side are like, heavens to Betsy, what are you talking about? He's going to run for a third term. No.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
And I pulled this up because you said Scott Jennings. This is in Politico. I think this story is from, I don't know, in the past year. After law school at the University of Iowa, Mike Davis volunteered in the 2004 Bush re-elect, which got him a job in the White House in 2005. As associate director of political affairs, his job was to vet people. Quote, my impressions of him were, he's incredibly smart, said Scott Jennings, the former White House deputy director of political affairs, who was Davis's boss. Quote, incredibly aggressive.
Of course. Little bitch Scott Jennings. Little
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bitch
Mm-hmm.
Scott Jennings.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, it's for anybody to be shocked about this again. And, you were saying the people at MSNBC and CNN, I sometimes I think that they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. Like they just don't know. They have blinders on. And when Julie and I went to go have drinks the other night with a couple of our friends, one of which was Matt Negrin, who is my friend who has worked at The Daily Show, I think for like 6 or 7 years. And we always talk about this. We're like, there are so few people it's a very niche little group of folks who know the depths of hell of right-wing media in its current form. And I'm talking from Nick Fuentes to Voice of America, Charlie Kirk, to Benny Johnson, to like everything that's happening over there. War Room with Steve Bannon, because we were doing rapid response during the 2020 election, before, and during Donald Trump's first term up until now. And I would say, when I was at LP, obviously I was like waiting in that. I do it now for this and Seneca Project. I'm still watching it all the time. I would say Ron Filipowski, those guys over at Midas, and people at The Daily Show. They spend all day watching this stuff because somebody has to do it. And sticking your head in the sand and pretending that this isn't happening is not going to make it go away. And it's I wish people would just wake up. And I don't mean, the people that are here. I know if you're listening to this or watching this, you're already very well aware. I'm talking about everybody else. I'm talking, and the people who are on MSNBC who are nice people, who are well-meaning. But I'm like, please spend 2 hours on Rumble and Right Side Broadcast News with Brian Glenn, who's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. Go watch 2-hour broadcast on Right Side Broadcast News. Go watch Lindell Media. Mike Lindell has a media company. He has correspondents on the Capitol steps asking members of Congress questions.
He has people in the White House briefing room.
Yes. Benny Johnson, another one, the one who was fired for plagiarism from BuzzFeed, the podcaster. he has a spot in the White House press pool. I mean, this who's going to be out here telling the truth? It has to be somebody. And this is why we're starting May Day. This is why we're trying to do this, to be another voice in the movement of fact telling. It's just,
they're burrowing themselves into mainstream media.
Mhm.
And win, lose, or draw, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 years. But even if Democrats come back, they will have burrowed themselves in. CBS is never going back to the balanced network it was back in the day. Neither is CNN.
Yeah, it's
Because
gone.
It's gone. They're gone. They're not coming back. We can build something better,
We're gonna have to. Yeah.
but they're not coming back. When they're bringing people like Scott Jennings over who have long-term contracts, those people are not leaving.
No. And again, like, this is the first, and outside of the White House, it's the first time in U.S. history that journalists are not allowed in the Pentagon to report on the Defense Department. And I say that in the shadows of having watched House of Dynamite last night, the Catherine Bigelow's new film on Netflix about how vulnerable we are to nuclear attacks in this country and how totally unready we are. Watching that, and then the Pentagon is freaking out about the movie, and they've put out all these statements. Oh, they're wrong. That even though they had retired military officials who worked in missile defense working on this film, making sure that everything was accurate, they're freaking out. I'm like, yeah, I bet you they are. I bet you they are. In addition to the fact that they don't have reporters in the press room at the Pentagon telling the truth to the American people what's going on.
Yeah.
We're safety is a myth. It always has been, but I think it's just becoming more apparent every day. So,
yeah. Well, on that note,
we had to do something happy. Like, it's very hard.
Here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a look at the weather in the next couple of days. We're going to block out a couple of hours. We're going to walk through Central Park. We're going to do a series on all our favorite parts of New York City.
Yes.
And bring happiness and joy to people. That has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with just being how lucky we are in this amazing city, and for all the people around the world who are joining us all the time. We've got people, I mean, God, Rosie, you're there from Australia with us every step of the way. We've got people from Liverpool. We've got people from London. We've got people from Manchester. We've got people from South Africa. We've got people from Germany, all over the United States. If you have not spent time in New York, we are going to show you the city that we love. Yeah. And we're going to show you all the awesome places that you might not necessarily see on the tour if you ever come here. And that will be our gift and our love letter to all of you, because you're so incredibly
and I want to say to that point, before somebody comes and yells at us in the comments, like, we live in Manhattan. That's just where we live. So those are the places we're going to go first, because those are the places that we know the best. I've lived in Manhattan for over 20 years. So, but it doesn't mean we don't love Brooklyn or Queens, or my grandmother's from Queens. Like, got friends everywhere. We'll try to make our way around best we can. So
yeah, we just don't know them as well. So we will do the Manhattan tour first, and then we will call our much cooler friends who live
the boroughs in Prospect Heights and be like, where you go. Yeah.
And they will tell us where to go there too.
Right.
But maybe we'll walk the Brooklyn Bridge and we'll make it to Brooklyn that way.
Right. Go get, and we'll get pizza and ice cream on the other side of the bridge.
That's right. Okay, everybody. Thank you. And we will see everybody tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, right back here on the Mayday Network. Thanks so much, and see you all soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Find some joy today. Bye.
Go.